Hello, I'm Malcolm West, and in this session we're going to be looking at the on-premises solutions from Project in a Box. So our multi-user platforms are exactly the same whether you're using in the cloud or on-premises. And that means you can get exactly the same functionality, all the consistency of standardized methodologies, templates, processes, documentation, collaboration environments, the capability of task, risk, issue, resource, benefit, financial management processes, communications of email engagement and reporting, the confidence and assurance and audit trails, supporting all of those processes, and of course the cost effectiveness of that will be the same whether you're working on the cloud or on premises. We will just host the solution for you, or you will host it yourself. So clearly the important part of thinking about on premises is about the hosting of that and how that's set up. So a very simple run through how that works. You have a central server, a number of different ways those can be configured, and a little bit more on that later. It will run over your existing network, and you'll be able to connect to your server over your network with desktop and laptop environments. Now these will run over web services, so it's a very light touch on your network. It's not going to be holding open connections and bandwidth, etc. It makes and breaks connections as it needs them, so it's very efficient. You'll also be able to use wireless to gain access from other laptops, smartphones, tablets, all sorts of other devices to that server in the same way, again using web services. So inside your network, that's all very secure. We have lots of customers who run on-premise, probably more than our cloud customers to date. And those include defence contractors, police forces, hospitals, all sorts of private sector and public sector organisations, research establishments, etc. Now, many of our customers will also give access to people out through their firewall with external connections. These might be stakeholders, customers, suppliers, partners, their own people who are working from home or working from remote locations on site, etc. We have a number of different ways of doing that. The most common and preferred method is to use your existing VPN to validate who you are and to gain access to your network. You'll be able to use the same interfaces to connect. You can also use the public internet to connect through your DMZ as well, and we can give advice on how you can make that as secure as possible. So that's the simple model. It's pretty straightforward, conventional model. Some further points to make around that and the flexibility that all that gives you. So in terms of your server setup, I showed it as just a simple box a moment ago. There are a number of parts of it. It's all Microsoft standards, SQL, IIS, etc. And your IT department will be able to set that up. We provide standard patterns for how you might deploy that, depending on whether you want to be virtual, and that's pretty straightforward, or whether you want to deploy that out across your existing infrastructure, server farms and file stores, etc. We can provide advice about all that, and in fact we can actually also do the installation for you remotely should you want us to do that. And that will also support single sign-on. So inside your network, single sign-on is by far the most common way of authenticating to the server for users. Obviously makes it slicker and quicker as well. So nice and secure internally. We can, as I say, give you advice on setting up for external access. Obviously that needs to sort of conform and meet with your IT standards, and so it's generally a bit of a dialogue about what are the best sort of routes. When you have the system on your server, of course you've got a lot of options for personalization in terms of the look and layout and feel of the browser application, for example, the customization of methods and reporting, etc. So we can help you with that. Again, we can do some of that for you. We can show you how to do it so you can do it yourself, but you will have the ability to do all of those things. Working with the system, as we talked earlier, you have a central server and you can connect to that from all these different devices using two different interfaces. So the first interface is a browser application. This will allow you to connect from any device which has connection to the server. It says here internet access, but of course that could also be through the VPN. It could also be over your network. You will need to have that on your smartphone or tablet or laptop or desktop. So it's just opening the browser up, supports any modern browser, typing in the address and then verifying yourself through single sign-on or username password approaches. Once you're in, you'll be able to access all the day-to-day project functionality, project manager functionality, and day-to-day admin capabilities as well. So for most users, that can be their always there interface. We do have a second interface, which is the Windows application. This will run on any Windows desktop or laptop. It has fully featured for all of your high-level administration, creating new reports, setting up new dashboards, and analysis, etc. And also for regular users, they'll find it a much slicker and easier to use interface because they've got drag and drop rearrangement of things on the application itself, and interactions with the desktop, including Outlook integration. So different people will use different interfaces, and also at different times. So in fact, you can use the desktop application on your desktop, and then you can have the browser app on your smartphone when you're in a meeting room, and you can be logged on to both at the same time if you want to. So you can use a mixture of both. Both use web services. So it's not a case of if you're on a laptop and you're out away from the office, you'll have to use the browser. You can use the Windows application, and that will connect through web services, through your VPN, or through your DMZ back to the server. So you've still got really both those choices in all locations. So choice of packages, we have two different packages for our on-premises solutions. The first Enterprise Edition has a base package of users for a price, and that includes first year maintenance free, Prince2 and MSP methods, 8 hours or 1 day of training. You can add extra training to that. You can renew your maintenance after the first year if you want to, that's optional, and you can add more users if you want to, up to any sort of level, and that's a perpetual price, so you've paid for it, you can use it forever. The second package we have is what we call Small Team Edition. It's exactly the same package of users, but for a much smaller price, £999. We do this to enable small teams to get the same sort of functionality as larger organisations. The catch is that you can't go beyond 35 users. So you get your base 20, you can add up to another 15 if you want to, or you can just use the base 20, and then if you want to go beyond those 35, you'll have to pay to upgrade the Enterprise Edition. You basically pay the difference. You get a smaller amount of training, and there's still the first year's maintenance for free. So Small Team Edition is often used by a pilot. Many organisations don't go for big bang implementations. They roll out a pilot, often using Small Team Edition, and then as they expand out, they upgrade to Enterprise Edition and add extra licenses as they go. But most of our customers, of course, use the larger Enterprise Edition licensing. One last point to leave you with: future-proofing, very important as IT strategies and policies change in organisations over a period of time. We've been doing this for 13 years now, and we've seen approaches wax and wane many times. So the advantage of us having exactly the same technology base for supporting our cloud and our on-premises solutions is that we can move people between them. So we've got a very slick process. If you start on premise and then your corporation decides that you want to go to everything hosted, then we can simply set up a hosted platform for you and migrate you onto it, and that's pretty straightforward to do. We can also migrate you off cloud to on-premise if you want to do that, and in fact there's quite a common thread of people that want it on premises but can't get their IT departments together quite quick enough to make that happen at the speed they want. So we will host for them initially, and then after say 6 months they might migrate that back in-house when they've got all their infrastructure lined up. So hopefully that's been a helpful introduction to on-premises approaches. If you've got any further questions, just drop us a line through the website. We'll be happy to jump on a web meeting and show you some of that or talk further through it. Thank you very much.